What's going on, everybody? We are coming on today to put a wrap on NFL Week 5. Lots of good games, and it's time to check out our power rankings after 5 weeks of football. Now, this week, there's been a lot of shuffle. So last week, we had Philly at number 1, Buffalo at number 2. I had Green Bay and Detroit kind of at 3 and 4, and the only reason I had Green Bay ahead of Detroit was because Green Bay beat them in Week 1. But I felt better about Detroit than I did about Green Bay. And then at 5, I had the LA Rams. And so now we move on to this week, and we'll start at number 5. And at number 5, one could argue they should be higher, but I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield. Again, Baker Mayfield is playing MVP type football right now. And this Tampa team has gotten some pretty good wins. I mean, they've looked pretty good. Most of their games, I feel like, have come down to the wire, but they've gotten the job done, and Baker and the Bucs just keep doing it. And as long as they keep winning, we got to respect it. Week 1, they took on the Falcons on the road, won by a field goal. Then they took on the Texans at home. They had a last-minute drive to pretty much win that one. They won 20-19. Then they played the Jets, 29-27. Now, that one looks bad now because the Jets aren't very good. And then they lost to Philly by 6. But then this last week, I thought they got a very gutsy win. Last week, they were kind of on the bubble. Houston's a pretty good win, and Atlanta's a solid win, divisional win. The Jets win is great, but they should have won by more. And Philly, they kind of made it close, but it was looking like it was going to be a blowout in the first half. That's the game where Philly didn't really do much in the second half. But the Seattle win on the road, it's hard to win, and Baker and these guys just get it done. They won 38-35. I got to reward that. So that's why they're at number 5 and not higher on our list. Number 4 is the Philadelphia Eagles. So they dropped. They were at number 1. But obviously this last week, they took a nail on the chin from the Denver Broncos, who were ballsy enough with Sean Payton, who's been a great head coach in the league, to go for 2 and give them the lead with a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter. Then they get the ball back and got a field goal to add to that. They ended up winning by 4. But before that, Philly had some solid wins. They beat the Cowboys in Week 1 by 4. And the Cowboys, say what you will about them, but they're in games. Dak Prescott's been playing great, so that doesn't look like as much of a cheap win as maybe back then we would have thought. They took on the Chiefs on the road. They got the job done. They beat the Rams at home, got the job done on that blocked field goal. And then at Tampa, they got to win. And if Tampa's 5, then I got to reward Philly. And obviously they lose to Denver at home, though. That's the thing with Philly. This whole time they've been kind of playing with fire. The offense doesn't click sometimes, and then obviously here comes the L. So that's why they're at number 4 on the list. Number 3, also dropping this week, is the Buffalo Bills. And the reason I didn't have them I didn't drop them as much is because I've said this before. This is why I thought Coach Vrabel was going to win Coach of the Year with the Patriots. I think the Patriots are a pretty competent, a pretty good team. So, and it's a divisional game. So those are always tight. And the Bills lost. So they dropped from 2 to 3. They're 4-1. They're sitting fine in the division, but ultimately it's a divisional loss. And really, if you look at the Bills' schedule, I mean, I almost thought about dropping them more, but I still think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. So obviously, look, if I'm want a quarterback of my choice for a franchise, I'm taking Mahomes. But as far as with their team, how they click, Josh Allen's playing as good as it gets as well. But their wins, they beat Baltimore barely in the opener. Baltimore sucks. They beat the Jets by 20 on the road, but the Jets suck. They beat the Dolphins at home by 10, but the Dolphins suck. They beat the Saints at home by 12, but the Saints suck. What is this Mickey Mouse schedule over here? Just such a easy schedule. And then now they finally play some competition with the Patriots and they take the L. So they're down to number 3. But again, they take on Atlanta next week on the road on Monday Night Football, one of 2 Monday night games. That one's a bit of a challenge. Let's see how they do then. If that's a win that if you want to be taken serious as a Super Bowl team, you bounce back and get that dub. So let's see how they do. At number 2, first time in the top 5, and they really jumped. And look, I've been eyeing them, and I was convinced after this last one. It's the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, the reason I reward them so much is because, as you know, I'm a stickler for defense. And I think they have one of the better defense in the NFL. Defense travels, and defense wins Super Bowls. And this team has played pretty good ball. They didn't start off so hot. They got the win against Tennessee, but Tennessee is not good. But then they lost to a good Colts team, which they should have won. There was some questionable things there at the end of that game that was on the road. Broncos should have won that game. So they lose to the Colts, who are pretty good, and then they lose to the Chargers by a field goal, who the Chargers are not a pushover. So, all right, road game, they lose. So, but then they whooped on the Bengals 28-3. That's all they gave up was 3 points. And again, the Bengals are in shambles, so that doesn't count for much. But beating the Eagles in Philadelphia confirms that this team is pretty damn good. So, yeah, maybe 2 is a little bit high for them, but I'm also projecting out. And I think with Bo Nix, the thing with him is I'm not convinced that he's great, but he has flashes, and I'm assuming he's going to keep growing and getting better. And yes, I know he's an old quarterback, but the defense is going to keep them in games. So it's like Bo Nix just needs to be average to good. And if he can do that, they're going to be in every single game, and they'll have a chance at the end because defense. So that's how that goes. And number 1, it's an easy pick right now. I don't think it'll be this way at the end of the season because the word I just mentioned, defense. And I don't think this team has a tremendous defense. But you got to give props to the Detroit Lions. The Lions are my number 1 team this week. I think they're just, found their groove now after that ugly week 1 loss against Green Bay. They've been rolling. They whooped on Chicago, beat them by 30-plus points. Whooped on Baltimore, beat them by 18. Whooped on Cleveland, beat them by 24. And Cleveland's all right. That defense is pretty good. And then whooped on Cincinnati and won by 13. And that's the thing I look at. It's like, to turn it into basketball a little bit, the Thunder won the championship. And at the end of the regular season, the margin of victory by which the Thunder had won against teams in the regular season was like record high. And that means that you beat up on the teams you're supposed to beat up on. And that usually tends to fare well. So I'm giving the Lions credit because they're not just sneaking wins out. When it's a bad team or a team should beat, they whoop them. And I respect that. That's how it should be. Keep it close. And so I'm respecting that. I'm giving them the number 1 spot. Next week's a challenge. Now they take on the Chiefs. So let's see how they do. And again, the defense with the Lions is my question. The offense is going to roll regardless, whether Ben Johnson's been gone or not. They have talented players on that offensive side of the ball. So we'll see. But that's our rankings. Detroit's number 1. Denver's number 2. Buffalo's number 3. Philadelphia's number 4. And coming in at number 5 is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And 3 teams that are worth mentioning. Look, the Green Bay Packers, I have a lot of respect for. But then I see the record, and it's 2-1-1. So, that just doesn't really do it. But I do think by the end of the season, they will be much better. I had really high hopes for their defense. They looked great against Detroit in week 1. But lately, they gave up so many points to Dallas in that tie. And then they lost to Cleveland, where the offense didn't really show up. But the defense worried me against the Cowboys. Again, and it's the record, really. I think they're better than 2-1-1. But we'll see how they continue to progress. They play the Bengals next week with Joe Flacco now with being the quarterback for them. So we'll see how they do. But again, see if it's the Lions, they would whoop on that kind of team. So let's see if the Packers can do that. Another team worth mentioning is the Indianapolis Colts. They're 4-1, and got to give them credit, man. It's just I'm only doing the top 5, so it's really hard to try to cram what team will be in here. But I'm also trying to project out to the future. But Daniel Jones and this Colts team keeps playing like this, and their defense keeps showing up. It's going to be hard to ignore them. The only reason I didn't respect them enough to put them in the top 5 this week is because they beat up on the Raiders, and the Raiders are horrible. And then the last team is the San Francisco 49ers. How are they doing this? They're so banged up. They're so injured. Last week, they took on the Rams, who I had at number 5, and they beat the Rams on the road. Give the 49ers credit. If they keep this up, I might have to project that even with injuries, they're going to be great. So we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you agree, disagree with. Comment below. Let's chat some football, and then I'll be back with another pod tomorrow, and we'll start having to preview week 4 as it kicks off tomorrow with the Thursday night game. Let's see who the Thursday night game is. I think it's the Giants and Eagles. Yes, the Giants are hosting the Eagles. So not a great game. Philly's favored by 7.5. But we'll see what the Giants can do against this Philadelphia team. And again, I respect the teams that beat up on the teams they're supposed to beat up. So Philly, if you want to be a Super Bowl team, you're coming off a loss, you should win this by 2 touchdowns. Plain and simple. So we'll see how that goes. But we'll preview that Thursday night game and start looking ahead tomorrow. Talk to y'all then. Go Yankees.